It is your good friend Chad Marco here again with another awesome anime review for you guys. Oh man, I'm enjoying the summer, so I decided to watch some summer anime, whatever the fuck that means. And if you haven't guessed already by looking at the title, today I will be reviewing Baki 2018. Now, for those that don't know, Baki is a pretty much it's a martial arts manga slash anime, depending on how you like to consume your Japanese cartoon media, and pretty straightforward. I mean, really, it's just a lot of ass kicking. I mean, it's a very, very violent show. I mean, really, that's what makes it stand out to me amongst martial arts anime is just the level of violence. Outside of that, it's not too special. I mean, the art style is a little unique, but other than that, it's really the thing about Baki that just stands out to me the most is just the sheer level of like violence and body damage that the people take during these fights. I mean, it's definitely one of the most violent anime or mangas that I've ever seen or watched. But let me just give you the basic rundown to get this whole thing started. Now, Baki was created by some Japanese dude named Keisuke Itagaki. Now, if you don't know, Baki is the name of the main character. Now, basically, from what I can remember, because the anime, Baki 2018 covers a portion of the story that's like later on, like when he's a little bit older, when he's 17. So it's been a while since I've read the actual like manga, because I read the manga from the beginning to from all the way from the beginning, from when he was pretty much a young teen to when he got to the I think the maximum tournament, like the beginning of that, because I don't think the translation was all the way done. So that's where I stopped reading it. But this takes place after that. But yeah, going back to the way in the beginning, Baki is basically like he's a child, like he's the child of the man who is considered to be the strongest creature on the planet. And that man is called Yujiro Hanma. And yeah, he's basically considered the best fighter, the strongest being on the entire planet. And Baki is his child. Now, his father's goal is for Baki to surpass him. So he's been, since Baki was a child, his father has been training him and preparing him to be amongst the strongest fighters in the world. And it's been so long, so I don't like. But if I remember correctly, because Baki himself, he doesn't want to be the strongest person in the world. He just wants to be stronger than his dad, because I believe, like, if I remember correctly, his dad killed his mom to give him an incentive to want to defeat him. So if I remember correctly, that's how his whole motivation for training and getting stronger. He wants to defeat his dad because his dad killed his mom. Because of course, and I can understand, not understand, I forgot to do that, but because Baki himself, he's not like his dad. His dad is kind of I guess you could say evil. I don't know, he's kind of an interesting figure. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Beerus the Destroyer, where it's he's not just going around just kicking everybody's heads off, but he'll fuck you up for almost nothing. Yeah, so Baki's not like him. So his dad had to give him an incentive for him to train hard and to overcome all these challenges and to try to become as strong as him. And that's why he killed his mother, to give him a reason to fight. And that's basically what Baki is about. It's about this kid who's his father is the strongest in the world, and his father killed his mothers to give him a reason to become as strong as he is. And so the whole story is just about him training and, fighting all these dangerous, powerful opponents just to get one step closer to being as powerful as his dad. The first arc, like I said, takes place when he's a teen, when he's a little bit younger. And of course, just trying to get stronger. But the anime takes place after that, when he's like a older teenager. He's around 17 at this point. This is after the Maximum tournament. And this anime, Baki 2018, is covering the most evil death row convicts arc. And this arc is basically about, at this point, he's very powerful. Like Baki at this point, because this is after the Maximum tournament. So at this point, Baki is considered amongst like the strongest people, at least in Japan. So he's kind of made a name for himself by winning this tournament. So now, because now he has this name, he's attracted the attention of these death row convicts. Now, the way this whole arc starts is there's this old guy who kind of runs these tournaments. I believe his name is Tokugawa, and he's explaining to Baki about something called synchronicity, how when something happens in one area, it can affect, various things throughout the world. And he kind of used that as a metaphor because he caught wind of what was happening with these death row inmates kind of coming to Japan to find, they wanted to quote unquote taste defeat. Now, to talk about these death row inmates, like there are these 5 death row inmates, and they're not on death row for no reason. I tell you that, like, these guys are like psychotic, killer, like just super nasty badasses. Like, not only can they fight, but they're like extremely like savvy. Like, they're very like they fight in very underhanded ways. They don't fight fair. Like, they're all about ambushes, really using any means necessary to win a fight. Like, they don't play by the rules. They don't like conventional tournaments or matches. They like street fighting, beer bottles, bullets in the mouth. like these motherfuckers are really gutter. And this and sort of all at once, they were supposed to be executed, but they end up escaping from their prisons. And these are people from like different parts of the world, and like in sync, like they all escape at the same time and kind of converge upon Japan to find Baki. I don't know exactly how they caught wind of, considering the world that Baki is a part of, maybe that's why they kind of figured out who he was. But I just don't really understand how they, found out about him while they were locked up. But somehow they all just knew, like, if I want to lose, I got to go to Japan. Because the whole idea behind these guys were that they were undefeated. They won every fight they ever been in. Like, nobody could ever defeat them. And now they were just so bored. They were looking for the ultimate challenge. And they felt like Baki could give them that. And so, yeah, they all escape. And they all go to Japan in search of Baki. And so, like I said, Tokugawa, he's the guy that organizes like the tournament, like the underground fighting tournaments. And he knows everything what's going on in the fighting world. He got a lot of clout, So he kind of figures out what's going on. So he wants to kind of organize his thing. So he's like, all right, these guys are coming. So let me call up the best fighters in Japan and get these guys to meet. Like let me get my guys so that once these death row convicts come, we can kind of just lay it all out, like right on the table. Like, hey, we came to whoop y'all ass, so be ready. So, they all kind of come and they meet at Tokugawa's like tournament, like his tournament place, his arena, whatever. And just basically just straight up like, hey, it's on. Like, we came here to fight, And when and this ain't gonna be no official tournament, no matches, no round one, round two, no referee. Like, it's on. Like, I see you in the streets, we we fighting. Like, I catch you sleeping, we fighting. You with a bitch, we fighting. Like, that's just how it is. Like, so this kind of presents a new challenge for Baki, because Baki is kind of used to more like, I guess you could say like at least organized fights where like okay, now I'm fighting. Like, either it's a match or you agreed to fight this guy. It's rare that Baki had to deal with this kind of a challenge where somebody could just come out of a bush and just cut his throat or something like that. Like, and like I said, these guys, like, they use weapons and shit. Like, they're not like conventional fighters. Like, these are like some real fucking weirdos. Like, one guy, he has like blades in his elbows and his kneecaps, and the other guy has like a bomb embedded in his arm. I mean, these guys are really fucking psycho. And as you can imagine, from that point on, it's just an all-out free fall. I mean, really, this whole arc, I mean, there's like this underlying like subplot of Baki deepening his relationship with his love interest and eventually losing his virginity. But beyond that, the whole thing is really just straight up just random fights throughout the city of the death row convicts fighting the various characters that have already been established alongside Baki, like Dopo or Kaio, what was the name? What was it? Retsu? I forget a lot of these guys' names. All these, but Kaio, Retsu. I think there was another guy called Shibukawa. And then there was another guy, Olivia. What was it? Olivia Biscuit. Some weird names in this shit, but yeah, it just because up until this point, Baki has and I'll say this to Baki's credit as a show or a manga, is that it kind of reminds me of Hajime no Ippo, where it's very character driven. Like, it's not one of those shows where only one character gets all the shine. You have like all these cool characters that have been established, and they're all powerful and just monsters as far as like combat. So it's a lot of cool characters in this, and yeah, like just throughout the whole anime, it's really, I can't sit here and describe a plot because it's not really a plot to speak of. It's exactly what I just described. Like, these death row convicts come to Japan to fight Baki, and that's what happens. Like, just Baki and the various other fighters in Japan just go against these death row convicts, and just wherever they end up fighting. Where, like, just for example, there was one scene where Baki was walking through the park with his girl, and then one of the convicts tried to ambush him, but then what's that guy's name? What was it? Hanayama? He just snatches the guy out of nowhere, and then they start fighting, because I guess he was watching Baki's back. So he just kind of snatched that guy up, and then they had a fight. And then one time Baki was at school, and a dude just jumped through the window and started a fight with him. And one of the guys fought Dorian in the fucking sewer somewhere. I mean, it didn't, oh God, what was that guy's name? I think it was Hector Doyle. I think he was the one with the red hair. Like, he dressed up as a woman, and I think he snuck into the police station and he attacked Biscuit. Like, it was really just fighting all over the place. Like, don't get me wrong, like, Baki has never been it's not a plot heavy show. It's definitely just mostly about like what makes it good just is the whole fighting, but that's not really it either. I would say also it's the character interactions, like how they interact with one another, and just the constant one-upmanship, just always trying to be better than the next guy, and gaining respect, losing respect, that sort of thing. So I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm describing it as kind of being like sort of a brain dead fighting anime, but I gotta be honest, man, like, I planned on watching like 2 or 3 episodes a day, and I watched the whole thing in like 2 days because it was like it was just boom, like it was just so good to me. Like even though it's not plot heavy, it's just still it kept me coming back. Like just wanting to know like what's the next fight or how does this fight end and like what's gonna happen. Like it still keeps you kind of guessing and interested despite not having like a very complex plot of a big world of different events shifting and all that. It's really just motherfuckers knocking each other out, but that's really all it takes because it's just I feel like the fighting is just so it's just so brutal, man. And I'm gonna get more into that later. But yeah, it's just really just non-stop fighting. I mean, you got Hanayama versus Spec, Dopo versus Dorian, Doyle versus Olivia, Sorosuke versus Gaia, Yanagi versus Baki. Just really a lot of fighting, and I guess this is kind of a spoiler because this happens like more like way later, but the only thing as far as like plot that happens significantly outside of the fighting is that towards the end, like Baki, he gets poisoned like really badly, like to the point where he's losing weight. I mean, because if you've seen Baki, like he has like the perfect body, like he's like the perfect specimen. He's very muscular and toned and towards the end, like he's just losing mad weight because he gets poisoned by one of the death row convicts. Despite actually doing like pretty well throughout like the whole anime, he doesn't do a lot of fighting, and I'm gonna get back into that. But he had a pretty good showing, and they kind of go into like showing that there's gonna be like a new tournament after this whole death row convict arc. But like I said, not a lot of story in this. It's just a lot of fighting, and so that's really what I want to talk about. So yeah, that was the basic summary of like this anime and what's going on. Next, I'm gonna talk about the characters. Whew. Okay, so I talked about the story. So now I'm gonna talk about just a couple of the characters and their motivations and shit like that. Okay, now of course I already talked about Baki. His goal is to get as strong as his dad, to defeat his dad who killed his mother. As far as like personality goes, one thing I did notice, and you won't see this in the anime because it only covers like that one part, but I do recall like significant character growth from Baki, from like him being a child and him kind of maturing into a young adult. Because as a child, he was more of like a delinquent. Like he was always looking for a fight. Like he was like a hot-headed kid. He always wanted to fight. He was starting trouble. Like just like I think I remember like one part where he was like he tried to fight like 50 or 100 gang members at one time. like he was just really just I think he was just so I think he was in a rush to become stronger than his dad, and he was kind of a little bit in over his head, and now he's way more like calm and reserved. It's like it seems like he doesn't have to like he doesn't feel the need to show off, he really now he's like more about hiding his power level, staying low key, not trying to show off, not trying to start trouble at school. He just wants to train in secret, fight whoever he's got to fight, go to school, kind of just live like a normal double life, so to speak. Yeah, I mean he's not too. I mean he's kind of like your typical anime kid, just not really a bad person, not a bad person, like not someone to go around stealing shit or starting fights unnecessarily. But when it's time to fight, like he gets serious. But that's like every anime character, but he's not like Goofy though. Like he doesn't have like that goofball thing going on where he's goofy and then when it's time to fight. No, he's actually just more like just kind of, I guess you could say like introverted, calm, chill. But if you fuck with him, like he'll knock your fucking teeth out, like literally. But yeah, not much to say about him. I mean, he's the main character, so as you can expect, like he's the very freaking powerful, very strong, very talented fighter, and his father being the strongest creature on the planet, that doesn't hurt at all. He's got good genes. He's had a good upbringing. His father's been kind of tailoring his progression, so and he's on a pretty much a set path to just whoop everybody else's ass. So yeah, that's pretty much Baki. Not a very complex character, just kind of just chill, calm dude. When it's time to fight, he's ready. Like he's just a fighter, man. Just a thoroughbred fighter. And there's also Kozue. Kozue. Now Kozue is Baki's love interest. Now, usually I don't like it when like the whole love interest thing is kind of just stuffed in unnecessarily. But I feel like in Baki, I don't hate it. I don't hate it because I read a lot of the manga. Like really the only part that I missed was the maximum tournament. And really up until the maximum tournament, there's not a lot of like romance, lovey-dovey shit. Like it's just all out fighting. And then once he gets to like the maximum tournament, that's when he kind of begins sort of a kind of a light relationship with Kozue. I do remember that much. And then by this point in the anime, the Death Row Convict art, they're pretty much like they're moving forward like pretty fast, like starting like seriously dating and about to have sex. But yeah, I feel like the whole romance aspect in this was handled probably as good as you probably could, because it's not like too much. When you look at everything from beginning to this point, it's just like this is just a point in his life where he's found, someone to love, someone to be in a relationship with, and all that. And so, it's whatever. And she's kind of, I mean, she's cute, but I do like how supportive she is of Baki. Like she's not like she's definitely worried about him, but at the same time, like she's definitely like in his corner, like 100%. So she's worried, but she understands that, he has this goal and he's going to stick to it no matter what. Like he's going to put himself in danger to surpass his father and eventually defeat him. And she's kind of accepted that. So like, doesn't really seem like she's in the way, and she's kind of like, she's basically just agreed to kind of go along with the program. So, I would say as far as love interests go, like she's not bad. She's serviceable as I guess you got to have one, right? So it's whatever. Then you have Yujiro Hanuma. Now this is Baki's father. I mean, this, I mean, just physically, like this guy, like his features are just so exaggerated. Like his height, his facial expression, his muscles. I mean, he almost looks inhuman. I mean, really, he almost looks like a demon. Like he kind of reminds me of Akuma or Goki from the Street Fighter series. I mean, he just had like this demonic look. Like, he don't even look human anymore. He's just so gone. Like all he do is fight, man. But like I said, he's kind of a weird character, because I guess you could say he's the primary bad guy of the series, since that's Baki's goal. Since Baki's goal is to defeat him, and he killed his mom. So I mean, that's a pretty good reason, right? That's pretty bad. That's a bad guy thing to do. But then it's like he has like just these moments of just like, I don't know if mercy is the right word, but it's like he's not just like all out. Like just for example, like he knows that Baki wants to defeat him eventually, and it's like he allows Baki to grow. Like for example, I remember in the manga he actually fought Baki, and it was very one-sided. Baki got his ass whooped because at this point, even though he had gotten a lot stronger, he was still no match for his dad. I guess his dad was just kind of see where he was at, and he got fucking rocked. But he could have killed him right there. He could have just killed his son right there and said, fuck it. But no, he said, all right, you still too weak. Fuck it, go. And then, like, you know, he seems to have like some semblance of a camaraderie with the black guy, Biscuit Olivia. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but yeah, he seems to have like at least some kind of friendship with some people. And then there's like a scene where like he's fighting Muhammad Ali, and I'm not joking, like he literally fights Muhammad Ali. And like even though Ali was like weaker than him, like he respected him because he stood up to the government and all that. He's just this weird polarizing character where like he does like these fucked up evil things, but at the same time it's like he chooses like he does have like a sense of respect for certain individuals. I think he has a respect for power and whatever his goals may be. And then like there's even a scene where like when Baki and his girl are like laying in the bed, like he just kind of comes out of nowhere and he's like giving Baki advice on like girls. Like he's giving his son like he's giving him like the birds and the bees talk, except like in the most demonic fucked up way. You know what I mean? Like fuck all the time, fuck as much as you can. And oh man, like I said, he's an interesting character. He's not like just that like I'm just absolutely evil, but he's definitely not good either. Like he's the type of person where like you can gain his respect, but you have to be strong. I think he's the type of person where he only respects things that are either strong or useful to him. You know, so that's kind of what makes him an interesting character. So and then he's always in the background as far as like the ultimate goal for Baki and really everyone else, because everybody knows what's up when he comes in the room. You know, they know he'll kick your fucking dome off. So yeah. Whew, okay, who was in this fucking shit? Then there's I think his name is Orochi Dopo. He's like this bald head, one-eyed dude, but he's like a legendary martial artist in Japan. Like he has, I think he has like the biggest like martial arts karate studio or dojo in Japan, and they have like thousands of like members. Like he's kind of like, I don't know, it's hard to find a comparison for him, but he's like definitely like in the upper echelon of fighters. But he's not just a fighter. He's like a franchise, you know. Like he's like he's got his whole face on the side of a building. You know what I mean? Like he's not like it's like, whereas Baki is more like underground with it. Like he's more low key. Orochi is like the above ground fighter, like kind of very famous. He's wealthy. He's got like limo drivers and bodyguards and all this shit. Like he's just like the franchise fighter, where it's like, now don't get it twisted, like he'll whoop your ass, but you know he's kind of Hollywood with it, because he's got all this like a big building. You know, he's got his son and he's got, you know, all this and that, so he's kind of famous. So. But yeah, you know, he's a you know, a great fighter. He's a likable character, just as far as like just being like somebody that just whoop ass and all that. You know, not a very complex character, just really just, you know, strong guy number 30. You know, then you have Hanayama. Now Hanayama is I don't know. I forgot how old he is. I think he's maybe like a little bit older than Baki. But he's like the leader of a Yakuza gang. I mean, and as you can imagine, he's a wonderful fighter. I think his whole gimmick is like his grip strength. They say he can grab a chunk out of a deck of cards with just two fingers and shit like that. Like he just something about his grip strength is just legendary. But overall, yeah, he's like a great fighter. He's the leader of a Yakuza gang. Him and Baki had a big fight in one of the earlier arcs when Baki was still like a young teen. And of course Baki ended up winning in the end. But after that, he managed to gain the respect of Hanayama. And now I wouldn't say they're friends, but they have that mutual respect, and that's really the best you can really expect out of the world of Baki. Like, it's not a lot of true friendship because they're so competitive with each other. Like, one day they might be smiling and laughing, and the next they're knocking each other's teeth out. Like, so it's. I wouldn't call it a friendship, but like I said, there's respect there. And like I said earlier, that's that part where like Baki was with his girl and the guy tried to come up on him and attack him, and Hanayama just came out of nowhere and snatched the guy up and started fighting him. So, and later on, he ended up giving Baki some advice on girls or whatever. So, like I said, I wouldn't call it a friendship, but it's something like it's something like that. Kind of a little rivalry, respect thing. And then you have Kaio Retsu. I don't remember a lot about him. I don't know if I know in the anime, like, he's just kind of like just another one of the strong martial artists that are there. I believe he's like Chinese. Like his specialty is like Chinese martial arts. But yeah, he's just really just another strong guy. Like, really, a lot of these characters are just like strong guys. Like, that's the best way I can describe them. Like, just really strong. They'll whoop your ass. Because they're all just so like focused on fighting and just beating the crap out of each other. There's really not a lot of room for complex situations to see them like what kind of foods they like, or their relationship status or anything like that. It's really just all about fighting, man. But he's just kind of a traditional like Chinese martial artist, but definitely one of the better fighters out of the gang. You also have Goku Shibukawa, who's like, he's like I guess you could call him like a throw specialist. They always say, like, despite his small size, like, he can throw anyone of any weight. Like, just kind of throw them around like they're a child or a sandbag or something. Like really all these fighters have their own like specialty and their own like, gimmick or whatever. But let's talk about what do we got? Let's talk about the death row convicts real quick. Like, just kind of shed some light on these guys. Now, first off, you have Kaio Dorian. I believe Dorian, he practiced martial arts in the same place that Retsu did. That's why they both have the Kaio title before their name. Excuse me. I believe, I think he's American. Because he's definitely like Caucasian, but I don't know if he was he like the Russian one or was he from America? I don't remember. But yeah, he's like a big guy, like just big. And like pretty much like the other death row convicts, his whole goal is to come to Japan and finally taste the feed. Yeah, I mean he's very shrewd to say the least. Like he has like a lighter that has like I wouldn't say it's piano wire. I don't know if it's piano, but it's some type of like strong, like just the highest end of like wire that can just slice through like meat like it's fucking butter. Man, he's the one with the fucking bomb in his hand and shit. And there's like one part where like he greases his hands up and he like breaks these bottles and he rubs his hands in like the broken glass and he creates like these broken glass fists. I mean, but that kind of really sets the tone as far as like what type of fighting to expect from these guys. I mean, because they, like I said, they use anything, any weapons, anything that's around them, like they'll use it. They got all kinds of tricks up their sleeve. Like he's definitely very like, I mean, just crazy as hell. Like there was this one part where he was fighting this one guy and he kind of led him to a roller coaster. and like these guys were about to fight on the roller coaster, but Dorian didn't know that because of like the training that this guy had, like he could actually fight on a fucking like he never expected like this guy could actually like fight on a fucking moving roller coaster, and so this guy actually got the edge on him, and so what Dorian did was he just like grabbed them and just tossed both of them off the fucking roller coaster together, like I mean just straight up just crazy as hell, man. Like this dude just fucking gone. Then you also have Hector Doyle. Oh man, Fender scared the fuck out of me. I'm sorry. Oh man, that shit scared the fuck out of me. Oh yeah, but you also have Hector Doyle. He's I think he's the one. I think he's the British one. He's from Britain or something. He's the one with the red hair, and his whole thing was like just having stuff in his body. Like he had like the blades in his elbows and in his knees and shit, and just different kind of like stuff inside of him just to kind of like get the upper hand on people like in fights and stuff. But to me, to be honest, he seemed like one of the more fragile out of the five. I mean, he kind of got his ass whooped a lot. that's all I remember about him. Like he was all right, but he got his ass whooped. But it seemed like kind of halfway through he ended up having kind of a change of heart. Like I think he kind of befriended Orochidopo's son after his son whipped his ass a bunch of times, and he kind of said, "All right, I lost. I got give up." But out of all of them, he definitely seemed like he was the most fragile. And he doesn't make a very good trap. He tried to cross dress and sneak up on Biscuit, and that fight didn't end too well because he ended up having to run away. That's why I say he's probably the most fragile out of the five. Then you have Sikorsky, and his thing is kind of like Hanayama. Like he has like really good grip strength. Like they had him in like this. His prison was like this missile silo or something, and he climbed his way all the way out of that bitch, like using no climbing equipment. And this fucking, I mean, like it's almost like just climbing up a damn wall, bro. Like just a wall with like just little seams in it. Like somehow he managed to climb out of there. So obviously he's very powerful and has a lot of endurance. But yeah, I think really the most memorable fight I remember from him was because he got like he has a weird way of punching where he kind of extends his middle finger out and he uses that to like cut you, like his like the bone on his middle finger is kind of just poking out a little bit, not the actual bone, but like just the way he kind of holds his fist. His middle finger is just extended a bit. So when he hits you, it almost has like a slicing effect. So he's able to kind of slice your face with every punch, And I just remember that one fight where he the guy had caught him and had him tied up in the boxing ring, and then he ended up getting loose and he just beat like his goons up, and then he whooped this guy's ass and then he peed on his head. That shit was fucking crazy. But yeah, he was another one that really got it bad though towards the end. He ended up getting his ass whooped really bad by Gaia, who was one of Baki's old enemies from the manga that I remember. Then you have Spec. I think he was the first one to end up going down out of the five convicts. Well, the first one to get defeated out of the five convicts. He ended up fighting Hanayama. I mean, they had a big, oh man, that was a brawl. But when Spec was first introduced, I mean, and that's when I knew it was serious. Like, cause Spec, he rolled up on Baki with a severed hand. He kicked him right in the gut. Like he said, "Hey, what's up?" Boom, and just kicked his motherfucker. Like that's when I knew, like, oh, this shit is serious. Like these guys are not playing. Like he kind of, like really Spec set the tone. Like this is what it's gonna be like. Like it ain't gonna be no formal greetings. Like if I can, I'm kick you in the balls. I'm gonna knock you out. Like I mean, But and I think his specialty was like something called like the apnea rush, because to escape from his prison, his prison was like an underground submarine or something, and he broke out of that. But the submarine was so deep underwater that the only way to get to the surface, like you have to be able to hold your breath for 5 minutes. And lo and behold, Speck can hold his breath for 5 minutes. And that's a part of his special technique, the apnea rush, because he's able to do like this barrage of punches without taking a breath. So he's able to just kind of keep up a non-stop attack. But yeah, man, his fight against Hanayama is probably one of my favorite fights out of this whole anime. I mean, them motherfuckers went at it. Oh man. Then you have I think the last one is Ryuku Yanagi. He's like an older guy, and his whole gimmick is that he has like poison embedded in his hands. Like he went through this rigorous, painful training where he just submerged his hands in poison and then antidote, back into poison and then antidote and then back into poison. So now his hands are just infused with poison, and simply by striking his opponents, he can like poison them and they can melt their skin and their flesh and their meat. A very dangerous opponent. And he's also a weapon specialist. Like he has all these different weapons that he likes to use and stuff like that. Now it was a surprise to me, but Muhammad Ali is actually a character in this anime. There's a flashback that shows, because in real life, Ali went to Japan to fight this Japanese wrestler. And I guess the writer, he sort of incorporated that into the anime, where it was like, while Ali was in Japan training, Baki's father, Hanma, ran into him and kind of tested him and kind of see like how strong he was or whatever, because he realized that Ali's style, well, in the Baki universe, he realized that Ali's style wasn't just manufactured for boxing. It was actually meant to be like an all-purpose martial arts thing, to be able to contend with, striking, kicking, grappling, and pretty much every aspect of martial arts using only body movement, footwork, and hand punching. And so, but as you know, and in actual real life, during Muhammad Ali's prime, he ended up taking 3 years off because he didn't go to Vietnam and they took his boxing license. So in the Baki story, they're basically saying that like that 3 years off kind of ruined his chances of perfecting this unique style that he was trying to create. And so what ends up happening is that, Hanma realizes this. And so while talking to Ali tells him, "Hey, watch over my son so that he can perfect the fighting style that I was trying to perfect but was never able to." And so towards the end of the anime, they kind of show Muhammad Ali Jr., who's supposed to be Muhammad Ali's kid, who actually manages to, I guess, perfect the fighting style that Muhammad Ali was supposed. I mean, this is so weird, dude. I gotta fucking describe Muhammad Ali in the anime. And because I like boxing, I watch a lot of his fights, so that's why it was so funny to me, man. Because I know like the whole Muhammad Ali story. I read his book and all that shit. But yeah, it's like, is this shit legal? Like, can you do that? But I guess since it's in Japan, it don't really matter. But yeah, man, Muhammad Ali is literally in this shit towards the end. And yeah, and there are like other characters like Biscuit Oliver. He's a convict as well, but the thing is, like he's a humongous black dude, by the way. This dude's like probably one of the biggest fighters in the whole show. But yeah, because he's so powerful, what happens is that the government, they use him to capture other convicts. So even though he's dangerous himself, you know, the fact that he's able to track down convicts and catch them and bring them back to justice, they allow him to kind of come and go as he pleases. They consider him to be the freest man in the world. And Yujiro Hanma seems to have a lot of respect for him. You know, just another strong ass motherfucker in the damn show. What else can you expect? And then you have Tokugawa, who's, you know, he organizes the whole, you know, the underground fighting matches or whatnot. He's an old guy. But yeah, that's about about it for the characters. I'm gonna talk about next. I'm talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay, now let's talk about the good. Now, one of the best things about this anime, and I don't know if you know this about me, but I really love violent media. I love gore, bloodshed, pain. I mean, just, you know, strong people really just beating the shit out of each other. And Baki has no shortage of that at all. I mean, this. When I first read the manga, that's one of the first things that stood out to me is just how brutal these fights are and just how savage the fighters are. I mean, it just seems like with a lot of like martial arts combat anime, it's like it can get pretty violent, but it's like there's a certain level of intensity that's missing. Like, also realism. Like, you're seeing less blood in anime, you know, like less gore and stuff like that. It's like stuff is becoming more kid friendly. You know, I always bring up Dragon Ball, how, you know, early in the Saiyan saga, Nappa straight up just punches Tien's fucking arm off. And you don't see shit like that anymore in like Dragon Ball Super or even the fucking Super manga. Like, you don't see shit like that. And, you know, I just appreciate that, you know, of course, if like these people that are in these animes and these mangas, like these are superhumans. Like usually like in most of these shows, like these are superhumans. So if they're fighting, they're gonna really get hurt. People gonna lose like at least some teeth or break some bones and shit. Like, and that goes to my next point. Of what I like about this anime is that it actually has battle damage. Like if you get punched in the mouth by one of these guys, you're losing teeth. Like dudes are breaking bones, breaking fingers. Doppo got his hand cut off. One dude got set on fire and then he had the burn marks all over him. You get kicked in the nuts. Like it is crazy how violent this shit is. And I love the fact that not only is it violent, but like you suffer the consequences of that violence. Like, I mean, scars that like you get scarred up, and like even Baki himself, like he's covered in the scars that he suffered while he was training as a kid. I think he got most of his scars when he was fighting that gorilla motherfucker in the jungle. But yeah, and he's still covered in these scars, and that's what I appreciate about Baki, is that there's a real consequence to losing these fights and taking damage and getting hit. Like you lose teeth, like you could get your eyes poked out and shit. Like it is no joke. Like you do not want to play around. Like, and I just like that because it's so many shows where these guys are superhuman. They're throwing out nuclear bomb blasts and fireballs and ice beams and shit, but motherfuckers walk home at the end of the day like nothing happened. It shouldn't be that way. Like I mean, I understand for the more like cookie cutter shonen shows, but you know, it's refreshing seeing something with like real intensity, where there's real consequence to losing a fight. Now, also, it's very addicting. Now, it's very rare. Like, I love anime, but sometimes I kind of gotta not force myself to watch it, but it's like I enjoy it, but I gotta say, like, all right, I'm about to watch 1 or 2 episodes, right? Like, all right, I got hours, so I'm just watch 1 or 2 episodes. But this was a show where I couldn't put it down. Like, the plan was, oh, okay, they got a new Baki out. Oh, I read the manga, the anime should be cool. I'll watch about 2, 3. I'll do like some push-ups while I'm watching it, and then I'll put it to the side or something like that. I could not put this shit down. Like, when I started watching, I think I watched like I think I watched like 16 episodes, like the first night when I first like put it in. I watched that shit from like 12 a.m. to like 10 a.m. Like, just straight up Baki, like 16 episodes, man. In between shit posting on 4chan, of course. But yeah, like, I couldn't put that shit down. It took me like 2 days to finish this shit. You know what I mean? So I don't know if it would be that way for you, but I know personally, like, but even when I read the manga, like, it was the same way. I couldn't put it down. It's something about Baki. It's not really plot heavy, but it's something about it just draws me to it and just keeps me like laser focused in on it. Like, it's really just really top of its class as far as being like a combat anime, and I think that's that's really its strong point. Also, it has a strong cast, and this is really important for me because it's so often that in shows, there's like it's that one guy who's just a cut above the rest, and everybody else just kind of jobbers and shit. Now, I hate that. I like it when like the cast as a whole are just really strong, and everybody, well, not everybody, but there's a lot of like relevant characters that can really make a difference as far as like the tide of battle. And I feel like Dragon Ball is kind of the worst offenders of this, where it's very few people alongside Goku. I mean, even from the days of Dragon Ball, like, it's very few people who can really contribute as much as he does. So I really appreciate it when I see a show where not only is the main character powerful, but the people surrounding him are very powerful and able to, make a difference and show off their own skills and, assist the main character, or even, go against them or whatever, but just really, Baki has like a strong cast of powerful fighters, likable characters, etc., etc. And also character hype. And really, in a show like this, hyping up fights is very important because it's not very plot heavy. It's really just all about the fights. So you have to make the fights interesting. You have to build up to it, almost like how the WWE does. They don't just say, okay, this week is John Cena and Batista. Like, they build up to it. Like, first Batista like just came out of nowhere backstage and clothesline John Cena. Then John Cena, he'll talk about it in the ring next week and say, you jump me, Batista, I challenge you. Like, they build up to it into like this grand final battle. And Baki does a good job of that, of kind of like building up hype and beef between the characters, so that when it's finally time to stand off, it's like, oh shit, like, oh, this is Hanayama versus so and so. So it's like they do a good job of making things like interesting. Like, even from the get go, like when they introduced the death row convicts, they introduced each one of them, showing them like escaping from like these high security prisons, just to kind of show off their skills, like, and their durability. I think, who was it? It was Dorian. They hung his ass, and he just straight up got out of that, killed everybody, dipped. And then Doyle, he was electrocuted. He got out of that, killed everybody, dipped. It was pretty much just that for all 5 of them. Like, they just built these guys up, even though it turned out they weren't like, they weren't all that. But still, they did a good job of hyping them up and making it interesting, at least from the beginning. So I really enjoyed that. Now, the bad. Now, one thing I didn't like about this is actually Baki himself. Now, the problem I have with Baki in this, I kind of felt like he was underrepresented. And it might just be because of the arc they just happened to animate. I guess this art just really wasn't that much about Baki. And not that I mind that much because the other characters really held their weight and kept things good and interesting. But the whole time I just felt like, man, like I want more Baki, and he does have a few good fights here and there. But overall, I just feel like he was underrepresented. I mean, to be shown so much in the opening, and they had that whole like 3D opening of him like fighting and punching, and then you go into the actual show and it's other people fighting. That's just weird, And he was just so preoccupied with Kozue and his developing relationship with her that it seemed like it was more about, as far as this arc. Really, it seemed like it was more about him losing his virginity and, building his relationship with Kozue than him actually facing the death row convicts. Because really, it was more like the other people, like the other fighters in Japan, were running into these guys more than he was. I mean, he fought them a few times here and there, but really, the other fighters, they took up the bulk of handling the death row convicts. And yeah, I just feel like there wasn't enough Baki in this, and that was really what I wanted to see, Baki in full animation and all that. But overall, I still like it. It was just the fact that, I feel like it should have been more Baki. And also, it kind of becomes a mess towards the end. I mean, they do a good job of, they bring in the death row convicts and, there's a standoff. We got this group and the group of Japan fighters, and they're just going to go at it whenever, wherever. And it starts off really good. But I think towards I would say definitely during the latter half, you start to kind of realize these death row convicts, they're out of their league. I mean, they can do some tricky, clever shit every now and then and get a nose up over the Japan fighters here and there. But overall, you could tell, all right, these guys, the Japan fighters have their number. They, and I think it kind of loses, just towards the end, it's just it just gets so random, there's a point where, God, I hate trying to pronounce this guy's name. Sakurov, the Russian dude. There's a point where, I think Baki's brother kidnaps him and takes him to the arena, and then out of nowhere comes Gaia, who's one of the main enemies from an arc from when Baki was younger and shit. I'm like, Gaia out of fucking nowhere versus this Russian dude. It was just so random. I didn't I liked it, but it's damn, why now? It was just the whole thing just kind of seemed like a mess towards the end. And then it's you had the point where Baki was fighting two of the death row convicts at the same time, and they were just looking bitch made. And it was just towards the end, it was just really messy, man. And it doesn't feel like there was really a logical conclusion. I feel like the problem with this arc was that out of the death row convicts, there wasn't one that was really ahead above the rest to say okay, now this is the Frieza of the group, you know what I mean, or this is the Shishio of the group, this is the Bankotsu of the group. There wasn't that. They were all just kind of they were dangerous, but none of them really stood out as far as being the enemy, the one to beat. And I think that was the ultimate flaw of this arc, and that's why it ended up being so messy towards the end. I don't know if it was I don't know if it was if it was a deliberate thing from the creator. Like I don't know, maybe it's a part of his artistic genius, but it just seemed messy, man. And it just seemed like they were there just for Japan. The Japanese fighters just whoop on them and shit. So I don't know. But yeah, and that's really my last point as far as what I didn't like about it. I felt like the enemies overall just were not threatening enough. I just felt like I said, they were dangerous, and oh man, like when fucking Dorian bitch slapped Dopo with the bomb. I have never seen no shit like that in a fucking anime. So, yeah, they were definitely dangerous, and like, I mean, they were fucking up the Japan. Like, don't get it twisted, but it's just like overall, especially towards the end, they just didn't seem like they didn't seem like as big of a threat as they did like early on, you know. So, and I mean, it was just so many like just crazy moments in this though. I mean, you had the fucking like the part where Dorian he cuts off Dopo's hand with piano wire, and then Dopo like punches him anyway with like the fucking with his fucking wrist bone. Like that shit was crazy. And then you had it was that part where the Russian dude he got kidnapped and then he ended up beating up the guys that kidnapped him, and then like he beat the fucking leader with weights, and then he peed on his head. Oh shit. And then and the whole Hanayama versus Spec fight, that was like that was probably my favorite fight out of the whole thing, man. Like, cause that fight was just brutal. I mean, that Spec hit him with that. I mean, first Hanayama just snatched him up, and then Spec hit him with the apnea rush, and then Hanayama just whooped his ass, and then Spec put the bullets in his mouth and made it explode and blew the skin off his face, and then they kept fighting at the police station and shit. It was wild, bro. That was probably the best fight out of the whole thing. Yeah, and but really, I think the craziest part to me was after Doyle had blew up the karate studio, and they caught him and brought him back, and Dopo's son just pretty much just had him in there, and like they were just in the dojo, and every time Doyle would wake up, he would just whoop his ass and say, "You give up," and if he didn't, he'll just knock him out. And when he woke up again, he'll be right there waiting for him, like reading a book or eating his lunch, and then it's like, let's go. So he'll just wake up, beat his ass, knock him out, wake up, beat his ass, knock him out. So I mean, overall, man, like it was just so many brutal, cool moments in this anime. So I really liked it. But let's talk about the score for a little bit. Now, the story, I'll give it a 2.5 out of 5 because it's not a very story driven series to begin with. It's more about the individual fights, and I think that's his real strength. It's not very plot heavy, but it still works as far as like keeping you interested because of wanting to see, you know, the progression of Baki and how is he going to be able to, you know, become as strong as his dad, and, you know, the way they hype up fights. I think that's what really makes it work. It's not really the most intricate plot or, you know, complex storylines and story webs and, you know, all that. That's not really the strength of this show at all. But the action, I give it a 4.5 out of 5, man, because just like I said, overall, man, it's very few shows that are as brutal as fucking Baki, and the fact that they showed the actual like battle damage and things like that, I really appreciate it, and just all the different martial arts styles and techniques that they have that, you know, are kind of superhuman, but at the same time, like not like way out there, like on some fucking fireballs and you know, all that type shit. And the animation, I give it a 3 out of 5. I mean, The thing about Baki, and if you've read the manga, you know, like the art style is weird anyway. Like it's especially early on, I would say it was borderline bad. Like it was, like the art style was like bad. And it's got like these weird like character proportions where it's like they're just like these muscular monstrosities and shit. Especially like Yujiro Hanma. But I feel like overall, even did a good job of animating it. I think that Baki is just the whole art style in general is just kind of weird. It's definitely different and almost a little crude, but it works. Like it's kind of unique too. So and the music. I'll give it like the bare standard of a 2.5 out of 5 because it's not bad, it's not good, it's just kind of there. It's just music. I didn't really think it was that. I didn't really think it was anything special, but I feel like if an anime has good music, that's more of a treat. Like if I can find like good songs on the soundtrack, like that's a treat. I don't really, take away too many points for like a soundtrack that's not like stellar. I feel like that's almost a bonus. Comedy, 1.5 out of 5. It's really not meant to be funny at all, but there are just like little like just funny moments that are kind of unintentional, like, but they're usually like very violent moments that just kind of happen to be funny. Like Dopo getting his hand cut off and still punching the dude in the face, and the dude getting kidnapped and then getting his ass whooped, waking up and shit. And Ichi, I'll give it 1.5 out of 5 because, again, it's not really that type of show. It's not really, meant to be like super sexual or anything like that. Really, the only thing that was sexual about it was, Baki losing his virginity to Kozue. I mean, because they really they really hammed that up. Like they really kind of fleshed that scene out. They were really fucking. You just don't see any like penetration or anything like that. But like he was going to fuck in. I mean, he was sucking titties and licking toes and shit. But yeah, not a very sexual series. So yeah, that was my Baki review. I think overall I give Baki 2018. I would give it a fair 7.5. I'm gonna give it the conservative score, 7.5 out of 10. I would say it is just a little bit better than good. I feel like its weakness is that, it covered probably one of the weaker arcs of the series. I mean, I enjoyed it, but I definitely feel like it's probably one of the weaker ones. It didn't have like that threat of a really significant villain or enemy. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I was hooked. I couldn't put it down. Great violence, great fighting. I loved it. It was awesome. So yeah, that was my Baki review. And if you like violent combat animes, then check this one out. I will be back again with another anime review for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this. And yeah, Marco signing out.